piece is called I Read a Book Once, and it's by Col Bashir. And in this play we have Col Bashir, Afshan, piece, and Tahira Afrzal. I'll tell you a bit about Col first. A diminutive character of Newbury, Yorkshire stock, best described as a fair weather poet, she insinuates herself into inspired spaces such as Riftcuts 2010, a common word project, Sphere 2006, which was a queer project from the Arts Council and Queer Up North, and increasing the profile of South Asian, lesbian, bisexual and trans women in the arts. This culminated in Sphere Dreams, an installation, and Sphere Journeys, a devised play. She's most committed to collective creative spaces that enable voices drowned out by the mainstream. One of these days she'll come up with a master plan that will result in perfect prose and poetry. Unfortunately, to paraphrase her GCSE physics report from over 25 years ago, her tendency to see the subject in an amusing light gets in the way of the creative process. And Tahira Afrzal is an actress currently working and training at the Manchester School of Acting, and is currently involved in a number of theatre and film productions. This is I Read a Book Once.
When we speak notes in arts and peaks, paint the air with ideals and vigour, objectification, investigation, leather brocade sews our lips shut, words hang ragdoll-like.
I'm gonna hide my light right under this bushel.
Reduced to a humble bumble, encapsulated between glass doors, specimens with the illusion of flight, we stumble against invisible barriers, ignorant of our enclosure.
I'm gonna hide my light right under this bushel.
When we take space, it's meant for a different race. Surely we trample over our brothers as we wrestle shamelessly to the finish line, frozen by the steel-capped footsteps that have worn out these tiles. Our worlds are void of impossibility.
I'm gonna hide my light right under this bushel.
Insecurity deployed to set us apart. We discredit all we create and all who credit it. We learn to guard ourselves jealously, compete for a flash of the limelight.
Shine as we pull our sisters down, so we are all scrabbling in the dirt. I'm gonna hide my light right under this bushel. Hide my light right under this bushel. Hide my light right under this bushel. And no amount of applause will get me out.
Let's see what I can cook up for you. What? You looking at my books? I can read, you know. I read a book once. Once upon a time. The thing about books is, without me, they're just a string of words. The difficulty with reading is that sometimes what's inside you appears directly on the page in front of you. And fuck, you could be found out. The only control you have is what goes on in your mind. Or is it all those filthy fantasies? They could not possibly have come from me. Must have been possessed. So, I was a secret reader. Even the books themselves didn't know they were being read. I had two sweet, sweet spots for reading. One, obviously the toilet. Mostly found in the attic with the old dodgy lodger erotic literature. So that's where they came from. Corrupt, bad girl I was. I had to fake irritable bowel syndrome to explain the hours I would spend sitting on the toilet reading Niacin's Delta of Venus. It wasn't until years later that I learned it wasn't pronounced penis. But listen, they're really bad books. I have to tell you, it wasn't my fault. I blame the environment. It were a poor area I grew up in, my lord. Imagine my shop. Mr. Herald, I was 8, takes me out to a large van parked outside the store gate and says, yes, you can take any one of these books home and read them by yourself. And no, I wasn't coerced into dropping my knickers for that favour. The mobile library. I don't think I've ever re-experienced that deep in the pit of your stomach joy that I felt then. I could take books home free. I was 8, an itty, bitty, inconsequential bit of phlegm I was. I snuck all kinds of uncensored shit home. Shit, chick, lick. Consider it multicultural research. I needed to know what went on in English minds. That shit is weird, man. Obviously, I'm lending my 8-year-old self a level of sophistication in retrospect, changing the script. But what an education. Fairy tales, fables, myths, Enid Blyton, Nancy Drew, the Hard Boys, Mills and Boon. It was the 80s. There was no Harry Potter shutter then, it was Albert the Dragon and Flat Stanley. I still blame the phrase lashings of ginger beer for my subsequent penchant for Bex and BDSM. Which brings me to my second sweet spot. This is my first public disclosure. It was after, you know, on the prayer mat. I know I'm offending you all, but before you fatwa me out. It wasn't my fault. I wasn't allowed to read. Unless I could extend the space-time continuum of legitimate duties. I had to fast-track my spiritual connection to the deity in the ceiling, visualising my prayers instead of reciting them. It was all done with good intentions. And my God, she never judged me. Although, years later I found out Enid Blyton did. Anyway, who gives a fuck what you're all thinking? Enid Blyton, 5 times a day, on the prayer mat, and at other inconvenient times. Before which I crushed sacred scripts between my teeth, spit out the bitter pith that dissolves my tongue. I swallow the cry to storm the mosques, tear up my fool's gold ticket to paradise, swathe myself in the milky text of fairy tales and imagine salvation. But there too, hoary boots stamp at my eyes, blinding my passage. I rage, but my roar is a squeak beyond human reach. I beg for a higher power, but all the witches and wise women are dead. I take to the streets. Princes, players, gurus, lead me this way, that way, away, away. Stuck. Words flame. Sear new contours. I disgorge each figment until all that remains is a bullet-shaped void inside me. The impression they leave behind as they leave is my prayer mat in cinders, rooms strewn with pale sheaves of burning books, words gasping to be spoken, to be opened, little mouths filled with stories unheard. Maybe you think it's just me. I've been corrupted, but I'm going to let Bayan tell you herself. I saw her wedding pictures the other day. What a hoot.
Everywhere I went, I heard this loud scraping sound following me. It drove me crazy. I thought the voices in my head had laryngitis. Went to see a shrink. Antidepressants. Oh, they didn't work. Oof. Oh. But my neck and my shoulders hurt. Years later, I realised I was dragging my cage with me. So cliched, I hear you think. Oh, shut up. I believe in reduce, reuse, recycle. Still wondering what to do with it. Any older, yeah? Do you know why the caged bird sings? It sings to keep its jailers sweet. Do you know what it sings of? The beauty of the rustling bars, the mouldy seeds and shit that adorn and perfume its divine abode. As it gazes lovingly into a cheap plastic mirror. Ah, you just think I'm a bitter old hag. So predictable. I found a book once. I read it. In the 80s, my parents dragged my arse out of high school after I got expelled for stabbing Marcus in the face with a pencil. Well, don't call me an ugly packy then, hey mate! Of course, there was that time I was kissing my BFF, my best friend forever, Hesse. I think it was a tongue action that did it. They sent me to Pakistan to be purified. Married a month later, my first cousin, keep it in the family line, swap one jailer for another. I still remember that scruffy girl I met on my wedding day. And then, after the trauma of the wedding night, I was clearing out the room and I was snivelling just like a schoolgirl. Well, I suppose I was one, considering which dubatta to use as a ligature when I found the book. It was in my language. Oh. I cried so much when I saw it. It was written in English. A life I thought I would never see again. I hid it underneath my wedding dupatta. As I watched both, as I traced the word lost with a razor blade on the inside of my thigh. And then I chose the book, not the ligature. And I gave up giving up. Papillon. I sat in the corner, rocking and reading. I read the book in secret. I didn't want to read it too fast as the days and nights of my forced exile progressed. Well, you know the story. The wrongly imprisoned man who escapes in the end out of a brutal penal system. I fell in love with the character. I became him. I contemplated my cage. Every day when I read that book, it was like freedom. He found ways to survive. He made friends. He tried to tunnel out. He built a raft. He found all these quirky ways to be free in prison. He was in prison for a long time, but he fought back both physically and mentally. He didn't let them own his arse. Even if it meant he was going to die in the end, he would not die giving in. He was always plotting and scheming. No one understands what freedom means when you're so trapped. You see, that book was my freedom, and I hung on to it. I turned this into a place of refuge. I cleared out my cage, rescued, I changed. And I found a version of me that was kick fucking ass. I learned from that girl, scruffy girl, Papillon. I ducked, I dived, I scammed, I stole my passport back. I rescued my friends from their grief and paralysis. I ran like the fucking wind out there. But then that wasn't enough. Because then I had to unclog my wheels, iron out my ruffles, here and here. And get anti-malarial treatment, of course. How do I begin to tell you about my journey from then to now? I had no choice but to play my jailers. Their idiocy in thinking that they could control my mind by controlling my body. I took Shane and strangled the fucking shit out of it. They told me that this world was dangerous, untrustworthy, that I would never survive. What? I gave up being afraid of freedom. Right. Well, I better get back to the judgery then. Order! Hold your ears!
Okay, cast, come on, get yourselves back out here on the stage. Come on, Tahira, you were fantastic tonight, by the way. Come on, let's see you all get back on the stage if you're decent, that is. No? Just shied out on me. Ladies and gentlemen, it's been an absolute honour working with Common Word, Ash, Louise, Sophie, Col, Tahira, Amy, Jane, Mark, Aisha, Afshan, I can't believe I'm getting all these names right. Hina, did I get it right? Farhan, did I get the wrong way around? Yeah, I did. Afshan, Farhan, Shahira. Anyone else? Are we all up here? I know one or two have had to go quite quickly. If there's one thing that 3MT have really got right on this one, it's the casting. I think each and every one of you have been superb. And ladies and gentlemen, can I bless you with seven wonderful writers here in Manchester. This is the first, but it certainly won't be the last time you see these girls. A big round of applause for them, please. I think Martin's hiding. My partner in crime in all this. Come on, Martin, get up here. No, he's not having it, And Pete's still here. I thought you'd gone, Pete. Pete's still here, yeah. So 369 and Common Word, as far as I'm concerned, is here to stay. I have to say, from a director's point of view, tonight, it was an absolute pleasure to watch you all because you were so relaxed. It was a delight. It really was a delight. In fact, I'm a bit disappointed we didn't do it for 3 nights. It's always the same, isn't it? It's never quite enough. But I'd like to say thank you to each and every one of the actors in particular, because at this stage of the project, they do give their time free, which we're very, very grateful for. But of course, your decisions, your experiences that you put down on your sheet for us, please, which is really important, will determine which plays come back for the second stage. And from that, we've got the third stage, which will be one of these plays will go to be a full-length play. And we do everything we can, Common Word and ourselves, we do everything we can to get the appropriate funding in to pay everyone that really puts the time and effort in. So once again, thank you to you and to everyone else on the stage. Bless you all. Thank you.